friends, it's video time again. This week we are doing something that I did not know existed, which is the booktuber newbie tag. So I haven't actually been watching booktube for all that long. I started watching Christiane Jones's videos, I think earlier this year maybe, and I started watching her videos where she was writing her fantasy novel, and then I saw her other videos talking about books, and I thought, I want to be you. However, my wanting to do YouTube journey goes back a bit longer than that. So the first question is, why did I start this channel? So buckle up for a bit of story time. Many years ago, when I was just a little girl, I was the smart kid. So I was always top of my class, I was doing exams years beyond my level, and I didn't realise at the time, I don't think anyone realised at the time, that I was not being challenged. I was not being challenged, and I was not developing a lot of really important life skills like learning how to do hard things, learning how to take constructive criticism, learning how to fail, learning how to persevere, learning how to be resilient. There's actually a really great video by Dr. K over at Healthy Gamer GG called Why Gifted Kids Are Special Needs. I've never felt so seen as when I watched that video. I will link that in the description. So, I was a wee girl, I loved reading, I loved my storybooks. Before I could even read, I got my parents to read them to me so often that I knew them off by heart. I wrote my first book when I was 5, and I think it was the only book that I ever finished. Because something that has dogged me my whole life has been the inability to finish things, especially things where I have to be self-motivated and creative, and the idea of putting my work out there. My own self-criticism and my own fear of failure always gets in the way and won't allow me to finish it, because what if I finish it and it's not good and I fail? So that is the background to where I was coming from with my mindset. In the last few years I have done a lot of work on that, and I think I've come a long way. Now, I knew that YouTube was there. I'd watched viral videos and stuff on YouTube, but I'd never really been into content on YouTube until I started watching a few video games, and then what really got me into it was Minecraft. I became obsessed with Minecraft in 2017. I don't know if you've ever seen the Ardacraft server, but if you haven't, go look them up. In fact, I will link them as well, because it's just so gorgeous. They're building Middle Earth in Minecraft, but it's so detailed. They have a rock guy, they have a geology guy who just tells them what kind of rock it would be, and he sets up all the rock on the map for them to build on. It's just insane. And I wanted so badly to be able to build like this in Minecraft. I thought it was just the most amazing Lego set. But I really wanted to get good and to make Minecraft videos. Obviously that never happened. I didn't have the follow through, I didn't have the confidence, I didn't have the courage, I didn't have the equipment. And it just was one of these things that fell by the wayside. So fast forward a few more years, I'd reached my 30s and I was just like, I can't go on like this. I can't go on like this. I need to stop letting myself down. I need to stop not following through on the things that I tell myself I'm going to do. I have to start expressing my creativity in some way, because otherwise I'll be on my deathbed and I'll be regretting it. So I got really into the sort of productivity self-care area of YouTube. I was binge watching that type of content, and at the time it was really helpful to me because it made me feel powerful. It made me feel like I could do things. It made me feel like I could change my life. I could change my life in 6 months. And one of the challenges that I set for myself was starting the YouTube channel. So at the beginning of 2022, I finally made and posted my first video. I think one of the videos that I made in 2022 is still listed. I've unlisted the others just because they're not what my channel is about now, and I don't want YouTube to think that's what my channel is about. Otherwise I would have left them up, just because I like to be able to go back to the older videos that YouTubers have posted and see their journey, especially now that I am starting on this journey myself. I want to see that they were terrible when they started. That makes me feel much better about not being great. But I wasn't really sure what type of content I wanted to do. I was doing some self-improvement, self-care type content. I was doing some cleaning. The one video that did really well was the speed cleaning video that I did, and it's sort of lifestyle and maybe kind of related, so I've left it up. You can go and watch that here if you want. I did some video game content. I did a Minecraft video, I did some The Sims 2 videos, and I picked up some skills. And then at the beginning of this year I went through just a bit of a slump and I dropped it all again. And then doing a bit of soul searching a few months ago, I knew that I needed some kind of creative outlet. I knew I needed something. My job is not bad. I have a good job. I actually quite like my job in a lot of ways. The only thing about it is that it is not creatively fulfilling for me. It is not a job that I chose to have. It's a job that I kind of fell into. It's never something that I would have said, this is my goal, this is what I want to do. And it's not something that I see for myself as my career for the rest of my life. So I knew that I needed some kind of creative outlet. I had stumbled onto booktube through Christiane Jones, and I had just thought, God, I want that. I want to be reading books, talking about books, and writing books. And I want to be putting it on YouTube and documenting the journey. And if that could possibly turn into a way to support myself while I follow what has been my lifelong dream of writing a book, then brilliant. If not, it's at least a road that I am going down, and that road might branch into other roads, and at least it's action and it's creative and it's making something and it's putting something out into the world, and it's not just being a consumer and working my job and sitting on my sofa playing video games afterwards, which is great. Love video games, love that for me in proportion. I need to be actualizing. I need to feel like I am leaving my mark on the world in some small, tiny, insignificant way, just to have something that I can look at and say, I made that. That thing would not exist if it was not for me. Because without that, my life feels meaningless. And it has felt meaningless for the last few years. Ever since I graduated from a master's degree that it wasn't a disappointment, but it was not. I studied translation for my master's degree because I wanted to translate books. And the first thing that they told us in my literary translation module was, there's no money in it. There's no money in it. There's no money in it. So the degree that I had taken, instead of the master's degree in fantasy literature, which would have been way more up my street, I took the translation masters, but I thought that will be easier to get a job. And it is. If you want to translate the instructions for veterinary machinery or the instructions that come in paracetamol packets. I also graduated in the middle of winter 2020, in the middle of the COVID hell that we all went through, and I just felt very disillusioned. It was the culmination of my 5-year plan, and I had no idea what I was doing next. I had no idea what I was doing, no idea where I was going, no idea of the direction that I wanted my life to take. And I've bounced about since then. Maybe I'll move to Japan, maybe I'll do this, maybe I'll do that, and not stuck with any of it. But if I think about it, the last time that I felt truly fulfilled was when I was studying my undergraduate degree, when I was studying literature, when I was reading books and talking about books and writing about books and working towards something. My first love has always been books, and for some reason I never follow it without trying to go down some other avenue first. When I first left high school and went to university, I went to study law. why did I do that? And then I dropped out of studying law. And then when I went back to study English. And even then, at first, I was trying to go back and finish the law degree. The careers advisor said to me, "Why aren't you studying English?" So I went to study English, and it was the best decision of my life. So I'm hoping to recapture some of that by starting a booktube channel. So another question is, what are some fun and unique things that I can bring to booktube? Right now, probably not a lot, to be honest. I don't think I am really bringing anything at the moment that there aren't thousands of other people out there doing better than me. However, I do think that I have the potential to make some really fun and entertaining and engaging and informative content. I just need to develop the skills. One of them I am hopefully getting a little bit better at, which is talking to the camera. I still do take a lot of pauses, I still do a lot of retakes, but it is getting easier doing a video every week, it is getting easier. Editing skills. I've obviously picked up the basics, I can put together a video, but are they the best videos? No, they're not. And I love reading vlogs, I love the really aesthetic reading vlogs, and my house is not that aesthetic, and I do not do a lot of stuff. And also, I do not like the idea of vlogging outside of the house because I'm scared of people looking at me, and also I'm scared of people knowing where I live, and it's just kind of cringe to me. But I would love to make those kind of videos, but that's a skill in itself. Being able to set up shots, being able to have the confidence to vlog outside the house, to talk to the camera when there are other people there, that is, oh God, my soul. My soul. The type of content I would like to make, I would like to make reading vlogs, but I would also love to make author deep dives. I would love to dive really into the history of the fantasy genre. I would love to make videos on the history of Middle Earth and literature in 5 minutes, breaking down things like maybe Shakespeare and making it accessible to people. But no one starts as the full package. And that is why I love going back and looking at YouTubers that I enjoy, looking at their older videos, because they're not the full package then, they are still becoming this version of themselves. And that gives me a lot of hope. Oh yeah. You want to say hello? Okay, bye. So the next question is, what am I excited for? Just to be reading more and to be reading critically again. I really got out of the habit when I was at university. Obviously I was having to read and annotate and come up with ideas, and the last few years I've fallen out of reading, and when I have, I've just been reading for entertainment, which is great. Reading is entertainment, love reading for entertainment, but really looking forward to doing more critical analysis and getting back into that headspace of actually reading critically again. The next question is, why do I love reading? How long have you got? Books let you live 1,000 lives in your lifetime. They are mentally and emotionally expansive. They put you in the position of others. They increase your empathy. They're escapism. They let you get away from your everyday life. They let you travel to other places, to places that don't even exist anymore or that will never exist. And I also love the craft of writing. I have loved writing ever since I was a child. The reason that I struggle with it myself is because I have read so many good books, and when I am writing, I'm constantly comparing what I'm writing to all these amazing books that I've read and thinking that what I am writing is terrible. So that's obviously an issue that I need to work on, but I just love when someone phrases something in such a fantastic way, just using an adjective that you would never have thought of, or the word, changing the word order, or the poetics, or just something about it, and it just chimes with something in your soul. It just resonates with you and you think, yes, I understand that. To me, that's just magical. That's a superpower. I would love to be able to do that, and hopefully one day I will. So what book or series got me into reading? The Gingerbread Man, The Three Little Pigs. Before I could even read, I loved stories. So as soon as I could read, I would read anything that would sit still long enough. But probably the first series that I really remember being obsessed with was The Famous Five. I read so much Enid Blyton, not just The Famous Five. I mean, she is a bit problematic by modern standards, but yes, Famous Five, love those guys, love those books. My first book that I wrote when I was 5 years old was called The Storm and Other Stories, because all of Enid Blyton's story collections were called, I don't know, The Teapot and Other Stories, or whatever. I also loved the Faraway Tree books from hers, with Silky and Moonface and the Pots and Pans Man. Those were great as well. I don't know if I should ever really go back to those books and read them as an adult. I think they're probably best just staying as nostalgic memories. And obviously the first book that got me into fantasy, which is the genre that I have always loved and have primarily read in, was The Hobbit, of course. My dad read The Hobbit to me and my brother when I think I was about 6 years old. And it was great. It's a really warm childhood memory. He did all the voices, but I was also super impatient and I could already read, so I read ahead. I knew what was coming. So those are probably my most formative books, early formative books. So I've put the next two questions together because I feel like for me they're thematically linked, and that is, what do I think will be the hardest challenge to overcome, and what would I ask booktubers? For me, the hardest challenge is definitely imposter syndrome. I want so badly to come across as intellectual and knowing what I'm talking about and having correct opinions. This was something I struggled with even at university. Like, I would read a book and I would think my thoughts about it, and then I would need to go and find someone who was published. I would need to go and find someone who was published, a journal or a book, or somebody who had given the same opinion as me, and then I would think that it was okay to have that opinion because it had been validated by someone else. When actually, I was really good at my degree. I got A's for almost all of my essays, even sometimes when I wasn't really sure what I was doing. So I should have confidence, but I struggle with that. And there's something really terrifying about putting your opinions out there on the internet, because what if people disagree? What if people disagree with them? But that is actually a life skill to be learned, and it's one that I very much struggle with, is other people disagreeing with me. And so every time I make a video, I'm worrying, are these the right opinions? Are people going to see through me? Are people going to realise that I don't know what I'm talking about? So my question to booktubers would be, how do you overcome imposter syndrome? Is it something that you struggle with? I can already feel myself coming up against a wall. I set myself the goal of posting a video a week for 12 weeks. I have skipped 1 week, but this will be my 8th video. And after the Booker Prize video, after I filmed that, I really felt like I'd hit a wall where I just wanted to quit. Because that was such a struggle, and talking about, especially about literary fiction, and worrying that my opinions weren't correct and that I didn't know what I was talking about and that other people were going to call me out. Actually, when I edited the video and put it up, I sounded a lot more coherent than I thought I did when I was filming it. So we're pushing through, we're keeping at it, we're going to try and push through imposter syndrome. But that would be my question to booktubers, would be, have you dealt with imposter syndrome? What was it like? How did you push through it? Do you have any tips? And the last question is, what do I read? So, as I mentioned, my primary genre has always been fantasy, although I'm a little bit sick of it these days, to be honest. I feel like it takes something a bit special for me to be like, yes, oh my god, this book is amazing, because I've been reading it for 25 years. I've seen a lot. I also enjoy classics and literary fiction, general fiction, historical fiction, science fiction. I would love to read more poetry, more non-fiction. I don't read that much non-fiction. Not a big romance girl. It doesn't do it for me, a lot of it. I think it would be interesting to find a romance book that I actually enjoyed, but none of them hit the right notes for me. And it actually really kind of annoys me that all fantasy books seems to be an unwritten rule that every fantasy novel must have a romance B-plot, even if it feels like it is shoehorned in there, like it doesn't fit, like it's unearned, like you could take it out and the book would be stronger for it. But maybe that's just the point in my life that I'm at. Never really been a big horror reader, although everyone seems to be into gothic stuff, and I did read a gothic horror novel for Halloween. I really enjoyed it, and I enjoy gothic classics. I enjoy Jane Eyre, Picture of Dorian Gray, Dracula, all these kind of books. So maybe I'll get more into that. Maybe I'll get more into horror. I'd love to read more manga. I love anime. I watch so much anime, but I don't read a lot of manga. So maybe some of that. And we're gonna leave it there because I have to start work and I've run out of things to say. So hopefully you got to know me a little bit in this video. If you would like to bet on this horse, then please like and subscribe. They're just down here if you'd like to stick around, if you'd like to see if I do get better, which I almost guaranteed that I will, provided I keep making videos. So I would love for you to stick around. I'm really excited, despite the imposter syndrome, really excited to read more books, make videos, talk about books. I just love it. Okay, so thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!